don't hear programming. But welcome inside our Flames post-game live. It's brought to you by Original 16 as we welcome you in the final game of 2024, ushering in 2025 here in moments. But first, we'll talk a little bit about the final game of 2024, which was a successful one for the Calgary Flames. 3-1 the final over the Vancouver Canucks, and they'll go into the new year on a winning note in what was a heck of a hockey game here inside the Dome. We kind of touted it that way coming in tonight, knowing that New Year's Eve always has a little extra juice in the building. It certainly delivered on that front. You got a Pacific Division rival in the Canucks. It delivered and then some on that front as well. Impressive performance on both sides, really. Just the physicality we saw, a couple of scraps in the middle of that, but just a well-played hockey game here tonight. What'd you see?
Super competitive, right? That's what this team has been talking about. Kind of a carryover from the road trip, to be quite honest with you, where I thought the Calgary Flames played some pretty good hockey over the course of those two games. But you did a second intermission interview with Kevin Ball that I thought was really fascinating, because we talked about the feistiness, some of the fisticuffs as well, and he was involved in that. But he said, we're a team that's fighting for a playoff spot right now. This is the intensity that we need to bring. And I find that interesting because the Christmas break's over. That's in the rearview mirror. There's a bit of a sprint now till we get to the Four Nations face-off, but it's interesting how the mindset shifts just that quickly. You're no longer in the front half of the season. That playoff intensity starts to come out. We saw it again tonight, and probably most importantly, in addition to all the physical stuff that we saw, the Flames were led by their best players tonight, and Jonathan Huberdeau, again, just factoring in offensively. He looks great right now. Yeah,
he is feeling it offensively, but made some really good D-zone plays as well to help solidify the victory here tonight. Let's show you the highlights and go through it here tonight as we talk about a well-played 3-1 game, and we'll get to some of the physicality. Here's what we saw on the offensive side as we listen to a few of the fireworks going off in the background, but obviously starts in the first period and a goal by Connor Zary and a line that was all around it here tonight.
Yeah, they certainly were, and we're going to touch on Connor Zary a little bit more here throughout the night, but I love Jacob Pelche on this play. First, you're stopped on the breakaway, but what does he do? Slams on the brakes. He doesn't give up on that play. Even one-handed, he tries to throw it back into traffic, and Connor Zary, we've seen him, that one kind of reminds me a little bit of his first NHL goal last season, crashing the blue paint exactly where he needs to be.
Stopping on the puck as well. He's got 9 on the season. Sharangovich and Pelche get the assists on that goal. And then after that, it was the Kadri line. I think we're missing the Brock Besser goal in there, but Kadri makes it 2-1. It was Besser that scores on a power play to make it 1-1, and then this was obviously just a massive response for this unit.
Yeah, not quite a fake shot there from Jonathan Huberdeau, but he sold it quite well, and that's a guy that's feeling it right now. He's got a little bit of the shot first mentality, but that's what he's known for, being the distributor. Nazem Kadri with a great shot, and you pointed it out as we were watching. Martin Pospisil, one of the unsung heroes on this night, because that's a great center lane drive to drive everybody back.
And then Huberdeau finds the empty net, and it was just moments before that, makes a great play in the defensive zone. That line was out there for the important minutes in the dying seconds of this hockey game, and 16 on the season for Huberdeau, unassisted marker as he picks that off in the neutral zone. But again, as you mentioned, your big guys come to play.
Yeah.
And, I think you looked at that second period, and before we hear from the locker room, obviously we'll get some reaction here as well. Let's talk a little bit about that second period and just the edge, some of the intensity we saw. And, I think on a personal note, this is probably the first time we even, as you lead into a hockey game, reference the standings. They enter this game 1 point back of that final wild card spot. And as you mentioned, it feels notable because, you are getting to that time of the year. You're getting to the midway mark. But substantial and significant for the Flames in that they can now, and did with the win, leapfrog the Vancouver Canucks and take over that playoff spot, because that's where inevitably you want to find yourself.
Absolutely, and you said it right there. This is a team that you're battling neck and neck with, and division rival. To be honest with you, the talk started yesterday at practice with, there was a bit of extra anticipation for this one. You're hosting the Vancouver Canucks. It's New Year's Eve. We heard a lot of good things from the players about the way this crowd has really fed into their game of late. Yeah. We saw it before Christmas, and when there's an excitement that builds in a game 24 hours in advance, you just hope it lives up to the billing, and I would say this one definitely did tonight.
Well, the second period, let's show you just, I think it was 44 penalty minutes total. You get a couple of fights, and you mentioned the building. Well, maybe the building fed off the energy from the players in this case, because it seemed like that's kind of what was provided for them. But you get 3 scraps. Ryan Lomberg's in there a couple of times, and then Kevin Ball goes toe-to-toe with JT Miller as well. But that physicality in that second period was noticeable. The intensity was noticeable. And, both teams kind of seemed to feed off of it.
Ryan Lomberg certainly did. There's no question about that. I think he wanted to go a third time at some point in this game. But,
absolutely.
You see Kevin Ball and JT Miller. That's a big boy fight right there. Mackenzie Weegar gets a little bit of a free shot there. You love to see it. That's sticking up for your captain on what was really a dirty play. But you know what? I really do think it starts with this. Ryan Lomberg, that's Derek Forbort. You can see it on screen, the size mismatch here. This harkens back to when he dropped the gloves with Olivier back in Columbus a few weeks ago. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. Ryan Lomberg's a willing participant, but at the end of the day, heart doesn't always make up for the reach advantage that your opponent does. Held his own, and there was definitely a spark after that.
Yeah, it was impressive. And then you see that shot that we'll probably replay a few times in 2025, but the standing room only in the Vancouver Canucks side on the penalty box. Great stuff there. And JT Miller was left to stand and watch. Eventually it cleared out, and eventually no harm done, and the offensive side as well. But the Flames do pick up the win, 3-1 in a entertaining hockey game here on New Year's Eve. Let's go inside the locker room now and get some reaction following the victory. Who's in the room, guys? Let's listen in. All right on cue. We saw Ryan Lomberg drop the gloves a couple of times and thought maybe he'd have the hat trick of fights in him tonight. Let's see how close it was. Here's Ryan Lomberg following the win.
Man, how'd that feel? These are the kind of games you seem to thrive in.
Yeah, it was great. Dome was rocking. Boys were playing great, playing together. All around it was a pretty exciting game.
You thought you were going to get into a third one?
It was looking that way. Yeah, it was looking that way, but it didn't happen. So probably see somebody down the line here, hopefully.
For this group, like the second period, obviously, you had to match their physicality and obviously push it even further. What does it say about the group that you responded the way you did to a period like that?
Yeah, it means a lot when guys are sticking up for one another. It's a sign of or a sign of the brotherhood that we're trying to get to here and that we're growing. So it's great anytime you stand up for your teammates and you push back when you get pushed. It's important.
We always hear guys talk about making the Saddle a tough place to play. Is a game kind of like this sort of what you have in mind for doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when people talk about that, it's more about the altitude and fans and the old building. But we definitely want to make it a part of us too, and how we play teams and play hard. And like I said, the Dome was rocking tonight, so it was an exciting game.
It's New Year's and predictions and projections and all that type of stuff. But how much pride does your group take at the fact that you're going to wake up tomorrow in a playoff spot, or right now you are, and maybe you continue to prove people wrong?
It's huge. Yeah, we're not here to be in a playoff spot, January 1st, and then not, when the season's over. So it's great. We're in one now, and we got to do what we can to stay in one and continue to climb here because, obviously we're proving people wrong, but we're not proving ourselves wrong. We know what we're capable of, especially when we play the right way. So it was good 2024, this fraction of the season, and we're definitely looking forward to continuing, where we left off.
Is there anything that's surprised you and this team in the first 3 months here since you've come back?
No. I mean, I didn't sign here to lose. I didn't think we would be in the basement like everybody thought. I knew that there were guys here, coaching staff, management, players on the team, everything about it. I knew that this is kind of exactly where we're going to be, bubble, fighting to get in and having to earn it every night. So, proud of the group for where we're at now. And like I said, I think we're all, looking forward to continuing what we've built so far.
The last time you did have to drop the gloves 3 times in a game?
I don't think I ever have, so I was actually looking forward to it, but maybe next time.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
As we've become accustomed to seeing, big smile on the face of Ryan Lomberg as he finishes up in the dressing room, and we'll shift our focus from the impact that Lomberg and Ball and Weegar and the physicality had on the game and go to some of the offense too. Jonathan Huberdeau continues to be effective for this team. I think it was 13 points coming into tonight, goal and assist tonight, so 15 points to lead the way offensively in the month of December. Yeah. He's been a real catalyst and continues to do it at both ends. I know that's been the conversation this year, just about doing it at both ends of the rink. Very much the case again here tonight.
Absolutely. And, Brendan, you and I have seen hundreds of morning skates over the course of our career, so you typically try not to read too much into something like that. But this morning, you and I were sitting together, and Jonathan Huberdeau was sniping. Yeah. Like, he couldn't miss. Bar down every time. And, for a guy who arrived in Calgary known as the, the playmaker, the guy who put up 115 points, the large majority of those assists, not necessarily known as a shooter, but there's in a good way, some selfishness developing in his game now too, where he's got a bit of a shot first mentality. You love to see that, because as we're seeing, he's got an excellent shot and he's finding a way to beat goalies one-on-one. Conversely, still finding a way to make those delicious passes as he did on the Kadri goal too. So he's talked about it a little bit this morning. He's Johnny Power Forward, I think they're calling him nowadays. Showing a little bit of that too, but it all starts with confidence with this player, and it seems to be at an all-time high here in Calgary for him right now.
Sets up the game winner tonight. It comes off the stick of Nazem Kadri, but it was the pass from Jonathan Huberdeau that makes it happen. 3-1 the final. Let's hear from Jonathan Huberdeau now, one of the stars tonight with a goal and an assist. I should say Nazem Kadri. He has the game-winning goal. Let's hear from Kadri now.
The get-go, it looked as though this group, I mean, that was a really entertaining game, but it looked as though your group came to play.
Yeah, I mean, besides the scrums and the fights and the passion, I mean, that's all good for sure, especially for you guys. But I think both teams did a pretty good job at, playing some solid defense tonight, and there wasn't a whole lot of space out there today. And, credit to us for sticking to it and scoring a big goal in the third.
A second period like that, where obviously the bad blood kind of gets going, as you mentioned, the scrum.
Why don't we drop
quick one with him? What's that say about
why don't we
I think we did that from the drop of the puck
a
tonight. I
couple
think we were ready to
clips
play and, definitely showed that physicality aspect early on in the game. And I mean, we're definitely not known as a team that'll be pushed around, so that's obviously good to see, and that's a huge 2 points for us.
When was the last time you saw 5 guys in the penalty box?
They might have to do some renovations here at the Dome, I think, make the box a little more spacious. But, I haven't seen that many guys in there. I mean, I know it probably doesn't seat, more than 2 or 3 comfortably. So, I'm sure guys are sitting on each other's laps or something like that.
Can you just talk about the atmosphere in that building tonight?
It was great. It was great, especially in the third period. We had everyone's chanting West Virginia and getting into it. It's nice to see everybody enjoying their, New Year's Eve and heading to the new year on a positive note.
We've talked to you after the clutch goals.
You know what? Because we have the Zary pack, let's just do Zary.
We'll do this. In those late game moments?
Well, I try my best to. I mean, I always, try to approach it and have that, killer instinct type mentality and want to be, the hero. I think obviously, he makes a great play, and I'm fortunate enough to get myself in a good spot and bury it. But when the game's on the line, I'd like to step up. It's not going to happen every time, but I sure want to believe that.
On both goals, Mackenzie Weegar wasn't credited with assists, but I feel like he made passes that really opened the play up on both of those goals. Just your thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's what we need from him. He's one of our best puck moving defensemen, and I know when I'm out on the ice with him to be rated at all times for the puck, especially in the middle of the ice, and I'd rather it no other way. So, I think he picked up maybe a couple third apples tonight. Hopefully, that he can get that back in the new year.
What's it do for this group when you see Ryan Lomberg go at it twice and maybe willing to go?
What an animal! What an animal! He would have been ready to go for another couple at least. He's got great energy. He's always ready to play for the fellas, and we certainly take note of that. We acknowledge that, and we definitely appreciate it. So it's good to have him on our team.
Lots of room to go and lots of time to go still, but when you wake up on New Year's Day in the playoff spot, how's that going to feel?
Unbelievable. Who all had that here? Anyone project that? Anyone project that here? No? Experts. But listen, we fight till the end. That's kind of how it works. There's a lot of year to play. It's going to be great going in the new year in a spot. We'd like to build on that.
Any New Year's resolutions?
I don't know. So I gotta sleep on that one. Thanks. All right, guys.
Good stuff from Naz, and he doesn't forget. He was not that he was taking names necessarily, but he definitely. I think everyone in that room knew where they were projected to be sitting here, and as he said, who had it in terms of being in a playoff spot come 2025. But that's exactly where they'll wake up tomorrow morning, sitting in one of those spots in the Western Conference. Let's talk a little bit about Connor Zary, because obviously has an impact on this game in terms of the goals. But we were sitting here throughout the course of it thinking that he could probably have a couple of assists to go along with that goal here tonight.
Yeah, speaking of confidence, that's a player with the puck on his stick right now who's feeling it. And, fascinating to me, all this talk about the Flames center depth and a guy who's going to step up. Well, Connor Zary is doing just that. And, he's got that innate goal-scoring ability. He knows for the net. He knows to go to the right areas. But he's got that. That's a perfect example right there, Brendan. That ability when that puck is on his stick to force defensemen to back in, it just opens up so many seams for his line mates, but also himself too, because he quite clearly has the hands. Tough one for Yegor Sharangovich probably to convert in that situation. It kind of comes underneath of a couple of skates, but when he's dangling like that and showing a bit of the confidence, I mean, it says a lot about where the Flames are going, because they're being driven right now not just by guys like Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau, but Matt Coronado falls into that category too.
Great night for him
too. The young guys are stepping up here and leading the charge.
Yeah, Coronado, Zary, all part of the mix, but it was Zary that ends up getting that first star nomination here. He got the lid lifter tonight and was a big part of it throughout the course of the night. That line of Sharangovich and Pelche and Zary, all part of the win. Here's Zary now following the win.
You described that one. I mean, there was a lot going on, from the emotion to the way you guys kind of accepted that, but also focused on your game. How do you describe that one?
Yeah, it was a fun one for sure. I think at times it got a little sloppy. It got pretty emotional out there, and I think those ones are always fun to play in, and it kind of gets the juices flowing, it gets the energy up, and kind of like I said, it kind of makes the game a little choppy, but it is what it is, and at the end of the day, we were able to capitalize on a few areas, plays when we needed to capitalize, and we come out with the win. So I think those are fun.
Pardon me, and you score in game number 100. That had to feel even extra.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's special every game you get to play in the NHL, and to play 100 games after playing so long in the American League, and then be able to come up here and kind of make my mark and get into game number 100 is pretty cool. And obviously that's special to me and special to my family, and kind of you think about all the hard work you put in or your family put in, and the time and the money spent. Hopefully my parents think it's good. It was a good investment, but no, it was definitely special for me.
You mentioned the emotions and the physicality and everything, particularly in that second period. But it says something about this group that you guys handled that and didn't get away from it.
Yeah, for sure. I think the guys in this locker room like to get after it a little bit like that, and obviously it starts with Lombo, and he gets us going and he gets the juices flowing, whether it's a game like that or whether it's kind of a stale game. I think he's a guy who we lean on for energy and to bring it like that, and you saw that tonight. So I think everyone just fed off each other, and we were ready to kind of go back and forth with them, with especially the emotional part of the game.
Did you ever look at him and just be like,
Cheers to another season of great times and great taste. Celebrate things done well. Original 16, official beer sponsor of the Calgary Flames. Must be legal drinking age.
Putting the wraps on a 3-1 Calgary Flames win on home ice over the Vancouver Canucks. It is also putting a wrap on 2024. The final game before the new year is rung in here pretty soon. I don't know what time it is now. We got a little over an hour or so, and obviously we'll move into 2025. But the Flames do so successfully. They do so with a win, and they will also be in a playoff spot when they kick off 2025, which was always the goal, and leapfrog their Pacific Division rivals in the Vancouver Canucks. Let's hear from the head coach now of the Calgary Flames, Ryan Huska, following the victory.
What did you make of that one?
I loved it. I thought it was a great game. That's the most emotion that we've had in a game, and I thought our team fed off the building, which was it was a fun game to be a part of, for sure.
It says something about the group, particularly that second period when tensions were high. They handled it, they pushed back, they responded.
Yeah, I think there's always a fine line. Like we always want them to play with passion and emotion, and if they do it and they're able to stay on the right side of the line, that's awesome. And I thought tonight they did. They were really good, making sure that they didn't cross that line and put us in a bad spot. So I'm really pleased with how they handled themselves tonight.
I don't think Mackenzie Weegar was credited with an assist on either of those two goals, but obviously it was pretty heads-up passes to set them up. Just your thoughts on the work he did out there.
I thought Mackenzie was excellent, and I thought his partner was excellent tonight. Even the little thing, Mackenzie jumping in for backs, like that's the type of teammate that he is. And I thought this was one of his better nights that he's had all year. So I really like it when guys raise their level in important games. And even though it's December 31st, this was an important game for our team. And I'm pleased with the outcome too that came from it.
On that thread, Ryan, just how valuable has Nazem been in those late third periods where he seems like he scores frequently?
Well, To me, he's been valuable all year. You look at the 6 of those guys that we talked about a lot at the beginning of the year, haven't talked much about lately, but they've been the drivers of our team over the last little while. They really have. In our dressing room, on days off, practices and games, whatever the case may be, they've been the guys. So you kind of had a feeling as the game was going on, because I thought they were a little bit quiet early on. But sometimes when you look at Naz, you know something's going to happen. And that was a really big goal for us, for sure, because we haven't scored a lot of goals off the rush this year, so it was nice to be able to get one like that.
Talk about the role Lomberg played in this full meeting.
Full-on energy, and when a guy's willing to drop the gloves a couple times in the night, you don't see that anymore, you know. So he is a special player for us for a lot of different reasons, as we know. The energy that he brings, he's always positive. He makes people around him feel really good, and he'll do anything for a teammate. So he did really well done on his part as well.
You've been around the game a while. Have you ever seen 5 guys in the penalty box at one point?
When I was younger. You don't often see it at this level, though.
So when you flip the calendar to January 1, you guys are in a playoff spot. So looking back on what you've done to this point, realizing there's still lots to do, how do you assess that?
We're happy with the way our game is trending. And maybe the most important thing for me is the players understand the style that we have to play. And they've really bought into it. And it's not an easy way to play, but they realize when they are playing that way and when they're not now, which is important for me. So it's turning not into a coach's message anymore. It's more about the players, which is a great thing. Okay. Happy New Year to everyone. Okay.
And Happy New Year to the head coach of the Calgary Flames, Ryan Huska. Good stuff from him, and probably the most emotional game that he's seen, or at least exercised by his group this season, which is probably fair. And you'd love to recreate that every once in a while. Maybe a couple times a week.
For sure. And it's not an easy way to play, so it's difficult to conjure that up on a nightly basis, but you're right. There's 45 games left in this regular season. They talked about it. They're waking up in a playoff spot, so clearly they've established a template for what it's going to take for this team to be successful. Let's see how often they can bring that to the table, hopefully starting Thursday when Utah comes to town.
Yeah, and obviously 2 games left on the homestand. Then the Mum Strip starts, which I think unofficially begins with the final home game this homestand as well. You'll see a bunch of them here, and that'll provide
lots of motivation.
Yeah, that'll provide its own unique energy levels, I'm sure. Maybe just lastly before we close it out, just a team that obviously I think, Kadri probably summed up nicely there, that didn't have the expectations high on the outside. The belief was always there. They've said it to a man from the start of the year, and it seems like they, in 2024, carved out a real identity for this group, what they have to do to be an effective team on a nightly basis. And when they do it, they're a tough out.
Yep. And like we talked about, not an easy way to play, but, some really great quotes coming from that locker room tonight. Ryan Lomberg talking about how, he didn't sign here to lose. He's coming off a Stanley Cup victory. And to be honest with you, probably expected the team to be in a position like this. It's going to be a bit of a dogfight. But you're right. When this team sticks to its identity that they've developed here of being one of the hardest working teams in the NHL, get pucks behind the D, grind them down, and now they're starting to sprinkle in a little bit more offense too. It's very difficult to defend. And, as we talked about a few times over the course of the night and really for the first roughly half of the season, the key is finding a way to continue that over long stretches. And that's the challenge in front of them now. So let's see what they have.
And that challenge will begin in 2025, and it'll start on Thursday when they welcome the Utah Hockey Club. As for tonight, as for 2024, couldn't have finished on a better note. 3-1 over your Pacific Division rivals, vaulting yourself into a playoff spot in the Western Conference. And thanks, to a few fans in the front row. They were celebrating here all night long as the Scotiabank Saddledome was rocking, and for good reason. Ryan Lomberg had everybody on their feet. Utah is the next opponent on Thursday. They'll wrap up the homestand before the end of the week, and then the Mums arrive, and it's the Mums Trip in Southern California. Thanks for watching Flames Postgame Live, presented by Original 16. Thanks for supporting all year long. Looking forward to 2025. Happy New Year from us at Flames TV.